Hello, welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. Today we are talking about the Pegram County Cemetery in Pegram, Tennessee. Um, if you're new, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Also, please subscribe. Excuse me, I think I might have birthed. I don't know if I birthed or not. Yeah. Anyway, today, as I'm saying, we're gonna be talking about the Pegram County Cemetery today, and it goes through a haunted history part, right? Well, there is a small town with an unassuming there's a small unassuming town in Tennessee called Pegram, and it has the County Cemetery, and it is a place steeped with history and shrouded with mystery. Now, unlike other cemeteries that serve as serene resting places for the departed, Pegram County Cemetery is reported to be a hotbed for unworldly activity. Right? Well, um, stories of ghostly apparitions and disembodied voices and explicable occurrences have become synonymous um, with the cemetery, and that is you're not only that is not this is not an ordinary cemetery. In fact, it is by far the worst, and the land that you are walking on is something you would not expect. Now, why is this actually considered haunted? Well, one of the most significant periods of the cemetery's history is during the Civil War era, and it uncovered a not ghostly impact that perils the war on the unassuring cemetery in this blog, and it has been known to hear the tragic tales of a person. You can even do a natural ghost tour for this. I know a few people I will forcefully drag without telling them we'll go to a haunted cemetery. I know a few people that would voluntarily agree without knowing. I love those kind of people. Now, the Pegram County Cemetery dates back to the early 19th century when its first recorded burial occurrence in 1825. Now, the cemetery was established um doo-doo, established to serve a small farming community that settled in the area. Over the years, it became the final resting place for the residents, including Civil War soldiers, victims of epidemics, and everyday town people. Now, one of the most significant periods in the cemetery's history is the Civil War era, and this was a pivotal point in the battleground state. Um, and it saw numerous skirmishes and battles, and Pegram, though it was small, it was not immune to the war's ravages, and the cemetery contains the graves of both Union and Confederate soldiers, many of whom have violently and untimely deaths. Now, the cemetery was sitting and deteriorating in 1970s when things began to change. A group of individuals who purchased the land and raised a stretch of the land and located along the river, which included the family cemetery. Now, developers would take proper precautions and remove the buried in cemetery before they will begin building homes. However, 5 short years later, the Harpeth River had risen 30 feet, unearthing coffins from the remains of a miscarried Pegram Heath. The incident garnered many major attention, and which revealed the developments weren't as carrying with the graves as they had claimed. Now, regardless of the developers who, thank you, were allowed to continue their builds, and throughout Mrs. Heath's were buried, and her coffin resurfaced again during another flood, and Miss Heath's could once again be interred, but her soul is hardly at rest. Now, let's talk about the hauntings. Now, following her reinterment, strange things began happening in town, and it wasn't just the cemetery that was cursed. Apparently, the developers had sold the dirt that had taken from the cemetery and sold it to the buildings around town. Unusual flooding would occur regularly. Flooding, like in basements of homeowners, primarily used whose homes were built on sacred dirt, and then um The fires would begin to ravage the town, and the local supermarket eerily burned down along with various homes. And there was some more odd, and the fires would reignite along with being extinguished. Um, it sometimes seems that the poor practices of the developers created a curse of the town that they could not escape, and visitors to the area didn't don't will not leave without a good spooky story or two to take back home with them. And a creepy feeling is said to have washed upon the people of Standard Town. One person has claimed that tombstones can be found in the yards of some of their homes. Some of their homes, interesting. And one account tells a couple that was lying when they heard a mysterious voice on the other side of the wall. Well, you believe that you got it bad. Um, and the couple claimed that they hear believing a man is in his thirties, and they would search the home and electronics, but nothing whatsoever. Now, today the couple is often greeted with by hello as they walk down the halls. Now, another tale features a family who moved to the area in 1976. And the night of the family moved into their home, they experienced a tremor not normal to the area, a shaking ground, which would affect various mansions in the neighborhood, as all various homes in the neighborhood, all during the Durton Cemetery. Now, we'll talk about haunted natural for a second. Now, its reputation was built on historical events, local legends, and documented outwardly events. Now, for a haunted history of Tennessee, you can go check that out as well. But that is it for this episode. You can join me next time as we are going to be talking about the Isaac Franklin plantation. Y'all have a great day and a happy Thanksgiving.